Gentle with animals, so when he sees a puppy, he starts going like this.
Awesome.
All right, welcome to Season 2, Episode 7 of Tuning Tuesday. Episode 9 of Tuning Tuesday in spoken English instead of ASL.
Yep.
We can do a lot better with that.
They thought we were playing charades.
Oh, okay.
Is it a squirrel?
Everybody says audio's better.
So I guess to recap, we went to NMRA this weekend, had a lot of fun, talked to a lot of people that are going to be or are currently running the new VMP Gen 3 blower, in whatever class that may be. Were most of the guys in like a limited street that are running the blower?
Yeah, we've got VMP Gen 3s being raced in limited street. Both Gen 3s and Gen 2s. Limited street is basically like an 890 class, and you can run a Gen 2 basically balls to the wall, or you can run a Gen 3 way backed off. And we actually made a special 3.2-inch pulley for the Gen 3 to make it legal in limited street. And the idea behind that is you can still have a badass car, but slow it down for that class. And I really talked NMRA into that just to get more people in the class, and it seems to be working well.
Nice.
And then also, the VMP Gen 3 is now legal on Cobra jets as well. So we saw one Cobra jet there running it, and I know there's more people that are going to be installing their blowers shortly.
Do you know what that Cobra jet was running last weekend with Gen 3?
He was having some other problems with the car.
Okay.
The car's actually gone 8.3, but it was not running the number. Actually, I'm sorry, 8.483, but it was not running the number at Bradenton.
Okay.
So he's sorting out those issues.
That works then. I guess in the meantime, we'll have some new Chucky content and some new 18 Mustang content coming out here soon.
I think we can spill this bean a little bit because it's being talked about a little bit, but you want to tell them what you ran in the 18 with the Roush blower?
10.8.
10.8, nice. 134, I believe.
134.3 was the highest trap speed I had for the weekend, and I think on the 10.8 pass it was around 132 mile an hour.
So this is...
Considering the downstream air temps it had, doing that isn't bad.
Yeah. This is a completely stock 2018 car on a drag radial, stock suspension, stock half shafts, driven to and from the track on 93.
And I got some really good gas mileage coming to and from the track. It's weird because I'm used to driving the port injection stuff long distances, but the 18 up DI stuff seems to get a lot better gas mileage on the highway than the port injection stuff.
The compression ratio and the DI and the 10 speed, they're very, very efficient. And even driving the 18 truck that we have, I was really surprised too. Which
is weird because you wouldn't think it would have that effect because at low loads, it's still using a lot of the port injector. It's not like it diverts to a lot of the DI blend until you get like moderate load, higher RPM type stuff.
Yeah, it must be the 10 speed and the compression ratio, I guess.
That is 315, so that helps a little bit.
Dale would like to know, was it still a 93?
It was a 93 octane with a splash of butane.
And then Chucky did it. Chucky ran the number, and Chucky was on 93 as well, in case that's what he was asking about.
Oh, okay. Yeah, Chucky was straight, I don't know what station you went to, but 5 gallons of 93 from some station. And BFE.
30 gallons of diesel, 5 gallons of 93. You know, you pull up at the station, you fill up the car on the trailer and the truck at the same time. That's the,
That's the trick?
Yeah.
Get her done quick.
Get her done quick. Keegan Daly's chiming in, says, hey guys, after I do a second, third, this is his next question. His next question is...
Condition that you're having problems with. Just send me what you can, and if you can, also get the log of it having an issue.
And most likely, it's a 14. It's a GT500 electronics on a 15 to 17 car. Is it, you know what year Keegan's car is?
I think it's a 17 GT.
17. So that's why we made the twin jet 69 with 15 to 17 electronics, and we're actually going to be rolling that into the stage 3 kits here shortly. And I was talking to Matt, we're going to get a partial stage 3 kit going his way.
Nice.
And I'm like, you know what? The Twin 69 will fit a right-hand drive car, just no problem.
That'd be nice.
It's a very, our new VMP Twin Jet 69 really, with the 15 to 17 electronics, really packages very nicely with the Cobra Jet and the supercharger stuff. Just, the motor doesn't hang off as much, and the TPS is built in.
Nice.
Justin Young's on the line, says, hi everyone.
Hey Justin.
Hi Justin.
Robert Whedon says, hey, VMP team from Texas. Wanted to thank Justin for the Gen 3 Cobra video.
Hey. Thank you.
I think he's talking about the new upgrade videos that we did recently, and he wants one for the Coyote and GT500.
Ooh.
And we happen to have one for the GT500 in the works, so that is in the process. It's already been recording. It's in edit, so then it'll need to go to review. So probably within the next week or so, we'll have that one posted. And then Coyote, we haven't discussed that, so we can add that to the list.
We kind of did a Gen 3 overview type thing on both Just a Six's car and Track Attack of what it's capable of, at least. I don't know. I didn't watch the Cobra video, so I don't know what else you included in there to differentiate it from some of the other content we put out about Gen 3.
You know, it was a very nuts and bolts video, literally. These are all the nuts and bolts that come with it. This is where they go, and just that type of thing. You know, we intentionally did not put dyno results in the Cobra video because it was more about the product, just the pure product hardware. You know, what you're going to be getting in the box. And it's almost like an unboxing video without the excitement of opening a box.
That works then.
But
cut to the chase.
Yeah, to that point though, you know, like Joe said, there's a lot of overall results, and you begin to pick up a lot of details because we say, oh, we made this much power with this throttle body and this pulley and stuff. But we could do more of a straight up hardware type video too. And we're getting to adjust the 5-liter kit offerings, and you know, some of the stuff I mentioned, the Twin Jet 69 being standard and little things like that. So it's a good time to do a new video. Actually, Carrie and I were talking about that yesterday.
Nice.
Let's see here. Melvin says, hey there, VMP.
Hola, Melvin.
Clint says, good afternoon, gentlemen. Dale wants to know, is your 18 still on the stock pulley, or did you pulley down?
It's on what looks to be, / what I've measured to be I think it's an 80 millimeter 3.0 pulley, which is supposed to be the stock pulley that comes with the Roush 2650 kits for 18 up.
Yeah, but like Joe said, I believe that's the stock pulley. Our kit was a pre-production kit, so
it makes things more convoluted than it probably is for people that bought a production kit.
But I mean, at the end of the day, pretty much the same stuff.
Yeah, it's not like some one-off blower in the sense that it makes more power than anything else. It's just pre-production stuff.
Yeah.
It's not quite as pretty, but gets the job done.
Shelby Canada West says, hello, everyone.
Hola.
Anrest2 says, with my VMP 767 now installed on my 2015, what exactly are the requirements for the data log to complete the tune? Is it under load data log or static data log through the RPMs that you require?
Load data log or static data log?
We could talk a lot about this.
I'm confused about what he means about load data log, static data log.
Well,
like, is he talking about a data log in a stationary position versus a data log moving? Like, is that what he's talking about?
That's a good question. We just throw in the general data log requirements.
Yeah.
And keep in mind, the tune that we send you is pretty much there. You know, the data logging really allows us to fine tune it that last tiny bit and to troubleshoot any installation issues. But the tunes we send you are proven, developed, known to make horsepower. This isn't an experiment. We've done it before.
Yeah, so to that end, just shoot me a message or respond to the ticket where you got your tune, and just if it isn't me that sent the file, most likely it was me that sent the file, but in the scenario that it isn't me, just let them know that you're looking to get either some data logging instructions or the config file for that platform.
Yeah, because we usually send those out with all power adder tunes. Because like I said, we do want to see data back, but it doesn't mean the tune you have now is incomplete. And just to run through real quick, you know, an idle and a slow rev data log, that's kind of your stationary, and then your wide open throttle would be under the load of going down the road at wide open throttle, I guess.
I think it would surprise a lot of people how many watt logs I get with stationary vehicles.
Really?
Yeah, I think it's probably 3 or 4 so far this year.
Oh, wow.
Which is, I don't know, if you watch the videos, it's really hard to mess that up, but you send people the videos on how to do something, and they're like, I don't need that. Don't worry about that little guy. I'll just do it myself, and I'll figure it out. And it's like, we make the videos so that you guys have a very good guide as to what we need, and we make sure that we get to the the end result as quickly as possible. If you don't watch the videos and you don't look at the instructions that we put up there, it usually makes a process take 2 times longer, because you get logs, data log 1, and it's like, all right, cool, I'll figure it out.
Marcus Jennings says, hello VMP, love the weekly uploads and weekly live streams. He tunes in every week.
Awesome.
Great to hear.
Bright2K TV says, what do you all think of the 18 heads on a 17 motor?
I think that you'll get mixed opinions about that. I know that, I think it was MKR released a video of, hey, a video or a post of, hey, don't do this, the stuff doesn't match up. I know that there's shops and people that have run Gen 3 heads on like Gen 2 blocks or vice versa.
I didn't think it worked. I thought the variable cam was different.
I don't know what they're doing from a valve train standpoint, but I think this guy's talking about just the heads. Like putting a Gen 3 short block in with like Gen 2 heads, or a Gen 3 heads on with Gen 2 short block and stuff. I don't even know what you would do with the DI ports. I'd imagine you'd have to get like DI block offs.
Yeah.
And stuff like that.
You know, the Gen 3 heads are better, but they're a lot like GT350 heads in the sense that the better is very specific to the engine. You know, keep in mind the bore and stroke is slightly different on the Gen 3 Coyote. The valve train's different. I mean, you're going to be talking piston shape, valve reliefs are different. The Gen 2 shit works pretty damn good.
Yeah, and I don't think you're saving a tremendous amount of money if he was talking about Gen 3 short block as opposed to just putting either a non-sleeve short block in or a sleeve short block.
Right.
It's like, just instead of trying to do it with off-the-shelf Ford parts, if you already taken the car apart, have it built properly for the setup that you're running it in.
I mean, and honestly, yeah, like you know, it's attractive that a Gen 3 short block is probably only $2,000 or $2,500 assembled from Ford, but that money could very easily be put into a brand new block is only $1,000, a brand new crank is only $300. You know, good rods and pistons are like $1,200. So
it all adds up, but at least you're spending the money in the right places.
Yeah.
Or in perfect scenario, pull your engine out while it's still good and build it.
Yeah.
Big Daddy Trucker says, good afternoon, guys. Where's my video? LOL.
Which one's Big Daddy Trucker?
The GT500 you did?
Clint Castleberry or?
No, before that, the black one with the Gen 2R on the long tubes, made like 650-ish.
I don't remember what his name is. Because I did like, what, 4 or 5 in the past few days?
Yeah, it was a couple weeks ago.
Okay.
And then we were, you know, a little bit concerned about the power numbers, and we only had the 2.5-inch pulleys.
Yep.
So we do have 2.4s back in stock. Sorry for everybody that's been waiting.
Yeah.
Did we do a dyno video on his vehicle? Is that what he's asking for?
Yeah, I think that's what he's asking. And Chris or Brian, I don't know if you remember doing a dyno video on it.
It was a black GT500.
Yeah.
I think we have one that's scheduled black.
It was a super clean black GT500. Nicest GT500 you've ever seen.
Oh, the 1112 car.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. It was like 11,000 miles or something like that.
We'll double check.
I actually licked the bottom of it.
Make sure if we got video, we'll get it scheduled. So
that's going to end up in a GIF on the internet.
Me licking over your direction.
Exactly.
Mustang Guru says, good afternoon, guys.
Cameron Creeper style.
Cameron says, if I'm running E85 and the tune is set for E85, if we get stranded with no E85 available, can we use 93 with boosting instead? Joe, by the way, the fuel tested at E85 surprisingly.
Nice. And the easiest way to answer that is no. Only because it's not only an octane issue, it's also a air to fuel ratio stoic point issue. So like if you're tuned for E85 and you fill the car up with 93, you're going to be about, once you burn all the E85 out of the rails and everything, you're going to be about 30% rich. And will a short-term correction compensate for that at idle part throttle when it's warm? Yeah, but you can also get yourself in a situation where it thinks something's wrong trying to compensate that much, and it goes into open loop, and then you're just stupid rich at idle.
And yeah, and it'll tend to be stupid rich on cold starts and other situations before the compensation logic goes in. I would say if you were in an emergency situation and you knew you were going to run out of E85, I would fill up the tank halfway, mix 93 and E85, and then just drive the car out of boost, not going wide open throttle until you could get a full tank of E85.
Yep, and all by that same token, it's just as easy for me to just do and 93, don't beat on it type file.
Yeah, we can do that too.
Yeah, just, and then it's done.
He makes that noise when he does it too.
Slab Shack wants to know any GT500 monoblade news.
Good question.
We're playing with Twin 69 GT500 stuff, but
Wait, those like today?
Yeah, exactly. But 160, 173, we have a couple revised ones we still have to test.
And I might be able to speak to that a little bit better because I've been handling some of that testing. So the 160 and the 173 version 2, revision 2, whatever you want to call them, if you have camshafts, they work great. Camshafts on a Coyote. We do have one customer that has had good results so far on a stock GT500 with a 160 version 2, but he drove his car around the block and he says it's great and everything, but it's been so cold he really hasn't put a lot of miles on it, so it's not something we're going to advertise 100% until I think you do some more testing and stuff.
Yeah, I want to do more on-hand testing here on stock car before we really re-release that stuff.
If you have a Coyote or a GT500 with big cams, we will ship one to you. Yep,
and a Coyote or GT500 with that, what we'll call low engine vacuum because of camshafts is typically not an issue with the 160 or 173 throttle body.
And that goes for any big throttle body. You know, I had somebody tell me they were going to put a KB 168 on a stock Coyote engine because they were going to build it at some point. And I'm just like, man, you know, you're going to have some idle hanging, some idle flares, etc. You can tune around that stuff and keep the car from fail-safing, but you don't expect perfect drivability.
Yeah.
What we found out is that people were so used to perfect drivability with VMP throttle bodies and VMP tunes is that anything out of the norm they immediately detected as, you know, an issue. And there's not a perfect scenario. I can tell you what we are doing going forward is we are expanding our throttle body line and offering stuff that is twin blade, perfect stock-like drivability, medium-sized monoblade for somebody that wants street manners but wants a monoblade, and then super big monoblade for race and
aggressive
street manners. Yeah.
Big Daddy Trucker says he appreciates the comments on his cars, Justin.
You're welcome.
No problem, man.
HP Revolution says, why you guys don't do a comp cams on the 15 to 17 Mustang GT on the dyno? Always talk about the intake manifold, but never about the cams.
That's a great question with a lot of different answers.
That's an onion with some layers. I'd say the biggest problem with that is the cams are so expensive to have done that the amount of guys that buy cams is very small. In addition to that, the amount of guys that buy cams specifically from us that make it like worthwhile for us to do a video about something is also pretty small.
Yeah, and you know, you're going to get 30 to 60 rear wheel with those teamed up with an 18 intake manifold or a Cobra Jet manifold. It's probably a pretty strong mod, but people are looking at, oh my gosh, I've got $4,000 or $5,000 in this deal by the time I buy the cams, the labor, the ancillary parts, the tuning. Why don't I just put a blower on the car and make 200 to 300 rear wheel horsepower to start with, and potential for way more? Most of the camshafts,
the stock cams work great with a blower.
Yeah. So once you do have the blower, most people aren't putting cams in.
Big Daddy Trucker wanted to know how much more wheel horsepower would you get with a 2.4?
15.
10 to 15 wheel, yeah.
Yeah, I'd say that without remembering the total detail of his setup, I want to say you'd also stand to gain a decent bit if we put a monoblade on it, but then we circle back to that issue of no cams and me wanting to vet the throttle body in a stock car first.
Yeah. And should I slip the news?
You can if you want.
Okay. We are bringing back the Ford Racing monoblade as a VMP monoblade. We're making some design changes, but we're going to be making those available because the market's been just, they were taken off the market by Ford Racing due to tuning problems and stuff like that. We're pretty confident we can get around those. Yeah, so that would be, he'd be a good candidate for that. Another 20 to 30, and it'd be a little touchier, but it's a smaller monoblade, so that's like a mid-level throttle body option.
Yeah, I think it's a little bit smaller than the 160, but it's, in terms of area, it's bigger than the Twin 67 and the Twin 69, so you stand to make a little bit more with it.
Daniel Roberts says, hey guys, love the show. Justin, I met you at 2K18. I had a Coyote swapped 96 Mystic Cobra.
Oh, I love that shit. And you drove it all over the country. Yes.
He said, I finally put a 2.3 TVS on the car and got it running. I am running a 90mm pulley with swap headers and 3-inch exhaust. Stock GT500 throttle body and stock GT500 MAF housing with a Ford Racing filter and JLT resonator delete. Is 7 to 8 PSI normal, or do I have an issue? Thanks.
For a 90mm pulley, I'd say 7 to 8 PSI is very normal, especially with your inlet restrictions that you have going on there.
Yeah, it's great to hear you got a blower on it and everything, and yeah, I mean 90, that's not gonna make anything for boost.
So what it's worth, on 93, we typically run 82s, or on good 93, 79s on setups like that, and that'll make, with good inlet setups, like 11 to 12 PSI on a 79, 10 to 11 on a 82.
90mm is the original pulley size when Roush first came back. When Roush first came out with a supercharger kit in 2010 and 2011 for the Coyotes, 90 was the original size because nobody knew how the Coyote was going to hold up to boost. Everybody was scared of the 11 to 1 compression ratio.
That, and in their defense, the 1112s were a little bit weaker. And then they decided to drop down to an 85 and still warranty it, and the rest is history. But we actually had to bring back some bigger pulley sizes, 88 and 92, for Gen 3 stuff. What's funny is some of those older, what we'll call more restricted kits in terms of pulley size and induction setup had no knock sensors.
Yeah.
That's a little fun fact for all the people watching. They had knock sensors disabled from the factory.
Slab Shack came back and said, now that's what I'm talking about, in all caps. Daniel Lopez says, the OPG install video is coming. We have it scheduled. It just has to have final review, one last set of eyes, and then we'll be launching it. So it'll be coming.
Sorry about the long delay on that. Yeah.
It is done. It just has to have one last set of eyes on it, and it's already scheduled. And so we should have that out no later than the beginning of the week. Let's try and get that done by the end of this week.
Get that copy on the website, yep.
Ralph says, can I run a 3.0 upper pulley with 10% lower on a 14 Shelby GT500 with stock bottom end, and how much boost will it make?
Did he say what blower? 2300 or 2650 with a 3.0 10%?
Doesn't say.
I think he said Gen 3.
He just says, can I run a 3 upper pulley with 10% lower on a 14 Shelby GT500? It says stock bottom end.
I pretty much know he's talking about Gen 3.
Okay.
I think that was a question we got really early on into our sales and support department quite a bit because, you know, we knew the Gen 3 made a lot more boost. We were a little bit scared of big lower pulleys, but upon doing a ton of dyno testing over the past year almost, that's a completely go ahead and do it setup.
Yeah, a 93 rock out, that's the equivalent of like a 2.8 upper and a stock lower.
Yeah.
Which we call good on that setup.
And we're going as low as 2.7 upper on the Gen 3 with a stock lower for the 5.4 cars, and I would say the 5.8 cars can go as low as a 2.6 upper on a stock lower.
The only thing you run into is that the 2.6 cars are already really knock sensitive for whatever reason. And
the 5.8, 13, 14s, not a lot of timing that you can
definitely
run on those.
need some, I'd prefer 93 on a setup like that, but physically possible.
Yeah, on the Gen 3 stuff, you know, it does make a lot of boost, so you always want to back up a pulley size if you have to run 91.
Mustang Guru says, my 15 RS3 still has the Rouse 670 tune on it. What is needed to remove that tune and upload yours?
Joe, we'll fly him out to you.
Yeah. It'll just be a nominal fee of $3,000.
Our daily tuning fee.
No, but in all seriousness, we make a couple packages for that. I think we make is it a 727 package that we call it?
727 and 760.
Or 730 and 767.
Yeah.
The Roush Phase 2 is the 727 I was thinking of. But
You're right.
We make a 730 kit, which is basically like a tune and a pulley, and then we make a 767 kit that's like a tune, pulley, throttle body, booster, injectors.
Injectors. That's the big difference with the 767 kit is injectors.
Allows us to get quite a bit more RPM out of this setup. You're kind of limited to that. Depending on what induction setup's on it, you're kind of limited to that 7,200 RPM limit before it starts maxing out the injector. And then I guess basically to tune it, we really only need you to get an N-gauge and a tune. To get like one of our kits, just order up one of the kits on the website. We can get you squared away.
EJ wants to know, on his 14 GT, does he really need to run a fuel pump booster for just a 50 to 100 shot of nitrous?
And what year GT did he say? 15?
14.
14. I mean,
it's arguable, but if you think of it this way, with nitrous, you have to add basically a commensurate amount of fuel that you would just with another power adder like our TVS. When you add 150 horsepower to the car like you would with our TVS, you get into a fuel flow range that makes it to where the stock pump starts dropping in pressure rapidly. And having the booster on there helps keep that pressure from dropping in the higher RPMs. So I guess in summary, I don't think you'd need one for like 100 shot. That'd be kind of like our stage 1 style kit in terms of how much effective airflow you're adding. But if you're getting to that 150 range, it'd be a good idea to have a booster on the car.
JZ says, hello peeps. What's
Hola.
your take on FIC 1600 injectors?
We'll probably be able to tell you in a few weeks once we try them. I know that right before Alex left, he put a set in his car right after he left. And he apparently has good success with them, but I'd like to test them before we give them that VMP stamp of approval.
HP Revolution says, when you guys are making a video install on twin turbo S550 GT, so popular, no videos out there and how to install it.
I can guarantee you that if we made a twin turbo kit for an S550 GT, we'd have an install video for it. But we don't currently make a twin turbo kit for S550 GT, so that, and it's like, how does that benefit us? Like,
maybe everybody would chip in and we could make a video then.
Yeah, I mean, if you guys want to send a turbo kit down to us, we can install it for someone and
yeah, but
do a video, but...
No, I mean, we love racing and performance and technology, and we would love to tune those setups. We love tuning them, but I would go to somebody that makes them and have them, ask them to do an install video.
Yeah, it should be very simple for someone that makes and sells the kit to do the installation videos compared with someone that doesn't. I don't even think we have them on the website.
No, we don't really sell them. I mean, they're not bad. It's just it's not necessarily the market we're in.
James says, hey guys, was wondering what's stopping my 14 Auto GT from revving past 2K RPM, trying to do a brake stand burnout with advanced track off.
BOA.
BOA. Boa constrictor.
Exactly. Constricting the ability to do burnouts. That
Toyota lawsuits.
Yeah, essentially. So BOA is a brake over accelerator logic that Ford added. Was that in 2011 that they added that? 2013? Okay. So if he has, didn't he say he has 11, 12? Isn't there some
14.
14, I thought.
Okay. So then, yeah, BOA, brake over accelerator logic that's in the ECU. If you're having that problem and you're tuned by us, just let us know and we can alleviate that problem for you.
We can tune your car to be able to do burnouts. We have that power.
That is one of the things we have the ability to do.
Yeah. It's kind of funny saying that.
What is the most reliable throttle body for the Gen 3 on a 17 GT?
Twin 60, Twin 69, Twin 67. I'd say all those have a very good track record of reliability.
Reliability, stock-like drivability, stock-like idle quality. Any tuner can tune them.
I wouldn't say any tuner can tune them.
If you just have a basic set of data that's commonly available, and you don't mess with that, you should be good. So it's like
people try to get in the woods with ETC cal on these things, and they just end up going backwards in drivability and drive quality and how the car runs.
Yeah, it's actually better if you apply like the simpler is better logic, and that's why
the KISS principle.
Yeah, the Twin 67 and now the Twin 69 line from VMP has been very good for a lot of people.
Let's see here. Dorian says, "Hey guys, it was fun talking this weekend."
It was good to see you, Dorian.
Great you stopped by, Dorian.
John Peak says, "Enjoyed my day at VMP's awesome facility a couple of Fridays ago with my 07 GT500. Thanks for the tune, Joe, and for your attention to detail."
No problem, buddy.
Thank you for stopping by, John.
Thanks for the dyno video.
Mad Max says, "Hi guys, Joe, please help me out as my time is running out. Have the show on Friday. Have sent an email this morning, got a reply on the first one, but not the second one yet."
I guess I'll check with sales or check my own inbox and see if you send an email to me. If you already got a response this morning, I imagine you're talking to someone else because I haven't seen an email from you. But I'll check after the show.
Melvin says, "Would it be safe to run an 80mm pulley on my Gen 2R Stage 1 kit on my 12 GT? He already has ID 1000 65mm and a fuel pump booster, long tubes, OPGs on a 6R80 car. What kind of numbers are possible?"
All things are possible. In terms of safety, as long as you have enough octane there, the 80mm pulley should be fine, especially with what you have done for fuel system mods in the car.
Yeah, the injectors and the booster are a big thing. That's going to give that Coyote plenty of fuel.
Yeah, and numbers are highly dependent on octane, what dyno it's dynoed on, the conditions when it's run on the dyno. I'd say that from a possibility standpoint, as high as 630 through an auto I've seen on that size pulley. I'd say more realistically, probably around the 600 wheel mark on a pulley like that on decent 93, if not in that like 590 to 610 range wheel.
Melvin says, no, Bennett says, "Justin, are you turning down your," I think he's saying GT500, or are you leaving it at 850 to the tire?
I think the plan is to turn that thing all the way up here soon.
We got another video we're putting out on it, and we're just gonna keep turning it up. It hasn't quite made 850 on the previous video, but we made a shitload more torque and a little bit more horsepower on it with some recent modifications, and we're not stopping. So, yeah.
It's gonna break my heart if we push that thing hard enough to break the aluminum engine.
Steven says, "Rumor has it ATI dampener would bypass the need for an OPG. Thoughts?"
Rumor is wrong because I've seen even cars with ATIs break oil pump gears or crank sprockets. So
it's definitely better for the engine, but
yeah, it's definitely, but it helps.
Yeah.
But it's not the be-all, end-all because the root of the problem is the oil pump gear and the crank sprocket just being a little bit weaker than some setups can tolerate.
Hey, Chucky's shifting at 7,900 RPM. We're gonna do some Cletus style durability testing on it before we replace the oil pump gear and the crank sprocket in Chucky.
Gap Time says he's getting FIC 1000s, PMAS new plugs, 79mm, and a 67mm throttle body installed at Carlisle. And he's getting a dyno tune for 93 and 100 octane on a 17 Roush Phase 2. Do I show up with a full tank of 93 and a bottle of butane added?
So it depends on whether or not you want numbers for both fuels on the dyno. Like we can, when it comes to fuels like that, we can make a tune for 93 using 93 in the tank and just create a 100 octane tune file that you can use when you're up at that octane level. When you get into the what I'll call the woods of doing a 93 dyno pole and then doing a 100 dyno pole and doing tunes for both on the dyno, it takes longer than is absolutely necessary.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like one of those things where if you want the car to make the number on the dyno, 93 in butane when we're on the dyno, and just make sure that it's in there when you get there and it's all the way up in the rails and we're going to be good. And then we can write you a 93 tune that we know to be safe on 93 octane and then send you on your way.
Let's see here. What's the largest injector for Gen 2 when no race 85 corn wanted?
Largest injector for 93 when no E85s wanted to be run? Is that
I
what
mean,
I
you
gathered
could
from
run
that?
a 1,000 cc injector.
And I've run 1300s on gasoline cars, no problems. The cutoff, even by ID standards, is 1700s and 2000s on gasoline-based fuels on small displacement engines. So like for 5 liters GT500s, that's that cutoff. Don't put an ID 1700 or an ID 2000. If you want to translate that to other manufacturers, I wouldn't go past like an FIC 1600 on a gasoline-based fuel, if that answers that question for you.
Alex says, hey guys, just ordered your VMP 730 kit last week for my factory auto Roush. Installed the pulley, the fuel pump booster, and the brass fitted sensor. Looking forward to your tune.
Nice.
Jason says, what's the best fitting long tube headers for a 15 to 17 GT?
I'd say by and large Cooks, Dynatech, or Stainless Works with, I don't know if they changed it since I've seen a few installed and installed a few. The Stainless Works, you have to remove a passenger side AC stud on an S550. But other than that, the headers clear really good. I'd say the only other thing that I don't like is slip fit collectors. Cooks has a ball and socket joint, which I really like because they're super adjustable in angle and everything as compared with a slip fit joint, and they're a lot easier to pull apart. That same end, Dynatech has a ball and socket style flange, but it has a replaceable donut gasket so that you never have to really worry about flange distortion. You just swap the gasket out and you're good.
The Kooks is a 2-bolt ball and socket flange, and yeah, it doesn't. It works all right. I just kind of wish it was a 3-bolt or a 4-bolt, but I can't say that it works bad per se.
What I like is how much easier it is to install a 2-bolt flange compared to the 4-bolt, because as you're drawing the 4-bolt down, if it's not welded in place on the flange, you kind of have to tighten the bolts 4 times as you go around, whereas the 2-bolt, it's kind of like, get it set to your height, zzz, zzz, and you're done.
Yeah, and I use an air ratchet on the 4-bolt ones to get in there and kind of work them all from different angles, but like Joe said, 2-bolt's a little easier. I will say, make sure you grab the locking nuts and washers from the hardware bag when you're doing a 2-bolt. They like to come loose very, very easily. And ideally use a distorted thread nut. I don't know if Kooks includes locking.
It's like stage 8 locking hardware with their kits.
But you have to use them.
Which is a nice. Yes, you definitely have to use them.
Don't say I don't know what this is and throw it away.
I'd say best case would be to find someone that does V-bands, because I just love V-bands.
Yeah.
But you don't have a lot of adjustability with V-bands, so take that for whatever it's worth.
Rotational, not directional.
Yeah.
We have about 15 minutes left.
Okay.
Sweet.
FYI. Leon wants to know, have you guys been seeing a number of problems with the ported 18 manifolds?
No, I mean, barring the people that don't watch the install video, or people that watch the install video and have no viewing comprehension of what was going on in it, that we by and large don't have any issues with 18 intake manifold installs. We actually find that we're fixing a lot of issues that people are having with other companies with not being able to get them dialed in right, which is sad because it's really not hard once the vacuum's sorted on the setup.
So you're doing a lot of retunes?
I wouldn't say a lot. We've done probably 3 or 4 this year of people that are tuned by other companies that don't know about the little, kind of like what we'll call the oddities of the 18 intake manifold. And I actually helped out 2 other shops so far that we're currently tuning cars with our harnesses on 18 intake manifolds, and told them like, hey, you need to change this, and this, because they call this and like, oh, your harnesses aren't working. It's like, no, the harnesses work. And I gave them those couple little tips, and they got the car squared away after that.
Yeah, I've helped out a couple shops too that I talked to, and I mean, so the 18 intake manifold swap, and one thing, Carrie, that maybe he'll put a note in and say, tell us what level of problems you're talking about with the 18 manifolds. I think, did he mention porting?
Yeah, with ported
The ported manifold.
So I don't know if there's some problem with the porting jobs or if he's talking about installation and tuning problems like us, like Joe was pointing out. The big thing we did is we made, Joe got the tuning stuff figured out, and we made specific installation videos, and we made the hardware. And that's where VMP is. We set ourselves apart. We can tune the shit we make, and we can make the right shit to tune the shit right. If that makes sense.
It's a circle.
Yeah, it kind of is. And that same circle is hopefully our customers keep coming back to us for our expertise.
Stu says, any news on RevMatch or flex fuel development on 16 GTs? Thanks for doing these shows.
11 and 14 is going to be first. So once I have the verification data I need on the 11 and 14 stuff, then I'll move on to the 15, 17 cars and go from there.
Hey, a new tuner just started working at VMP, and we'll tell you about that soon. So
Yep.
we're pumping out more tunes.
Leon, who was just asked the question about the manifold, he says there's a slight hesitation on drivability, and he bought it from us.
Okay. If you buy the tuning from us too, because that's the other part of the equation here. Because if you just bought the manifold, we know that the manifold's going to be good. I guess at the end of the day, email us if you're having problems and you bought the manifold from us. If it's tuning related problems and we're not tuning the car, if you can send me some logs, I can tell you if everything looks right. But at the end of the day, if we're not tuning it, I can't tell you whether or not it actually is right.
And I'll tell you, if your tuner's not using the charge motion plates because they couldn't figure out how to get them to work right, like Joe's been telling other tuners have had problems using our harnesses properly, and basically when we say using the harnesses properly, it means changing the parameters in the computer to allow the harness and the charge motion plates to work. It goes back to a tuning issue. And they could just simply turn them off, and then you lose the whole benefit of the charge motion plates, which is to smooth out combustion, drivability, and create torque off idle. Charge motion plates actually improve idle quality.
They do. The cars idle a lot better with them. And that's not to say they don't. That's not to say you absolutely need them or the car's not going to idle right, because 11 and 14s don't have them. They idle just fine. But if you want it to work, if you want the stock ECU to work like it was designed to, then keeping them is a good thing to do.
And that means a lot of weighting factors working. If in tuner speak.
Extrally, like twice the weighting factors working.
03 Cobra wants to know, what kind of RPM do you tune the VMP Gen 3 for on a 15 Coyote with our Phase 3 kits?
We don't make a Phase 3 kit? We make a Stage 3?
20,000.
Wait, was he talking blower RPM or engine speed?
Oh, good question.
Most of the autos, we have them shifting around 7,200. The manuals, we set the rev limiter, the soft limiter at like 7,700, hard limiter at like 78, and tell people to shift around 75.
Damn, Joe.
All of it, man.
I wasn't even thinking in those terms. I was still trying to sort out the engine RPM at peak horsepower.
Versus drive ratio.
Blower RPM, and just, yeah.
Eric says, what's the best adjustable shock for mostly Mexico dog roll fun with occasional track visits on a 12 MT82 car?
Off-the-shelf AFCO. If you're not doing specific drag radial racing from a dig, I would just run an off-the-shelf AFCO shock. It's actually the same shock that's been used on a Fox body since forever ago, and we can get them for you for an AFCO dealer, but a lot of adjustability for Mexico stuff.
What's Dowd running? Because I know he does a lot of Mexico hood rat stuff on the street.
I don't know. And he's running a slick on a semi-prep street.
That's so weird to hear, a prep street.
Yeah. Which just means a lot of people race on it.
Yep.
Tyler says, a 13 F-150 5.0. Can I use my Ford Performance 47-pound injectors from my 4.6 liter Cobra? Only about 5 mub of run time. I plan on going with a bigger injector for the Cobra to go turbo. Will it be worth it in the truck?
Who puts 47s in a Cobra? I mean, I
That's
guess.
what I guess they'll work. They're EV6 length and they have a dual intake port injector targeting, as long as he's running the injectors I'm thinking of.
Yeah.
Shoot us the part number on the injector, either to sales and support or to tuning, and let us know what platform you're planning on using them on, and we can tell you whether or not that'd be like the compatible or ideal setup.
Yeah.
HB Revolution says, how much more horsepower will I get if I do E85 in my 17 GT with catless long tubes, GT350 intake, manifold, and a JLT cold air? He's also got a VMP tune. And how much more power with stock manifold?
So I guess that's like a two-part question. So if you're on high quality 93, I'd say about 10 to 15 horsepower more on E85. If you're on like 91 octane, about 15 to 20 horsepower more on E85. And the same is basically true for the stock GT intake manifold with those 93 versus E85 numbers. It's nothing real tremendous on naturally aspirated setups. The cars basically run, as long as you're on good quality fuel, pretty close to MBT on 93 octane.
Zach wants to know, he's doing a build on an 18 GT. Should I upgrade the timing chain guides?
No. Can you? Yes. Do you need to? No.
And be careful with some of that stuff, because if you're not building like a race motor that lives its life a quarter mile at a time, please forgive the reference to Fast and Furious. Some of those types of components can cause problems. Like they weren't meant for the heat and the duty cycle of street use, or they may not have the same oiling channels as large as the factory parts. So I would say the guides on Rebecca's motor
have always been stock.
Yeah, and after 2 rebuilds they got really soft, so there's a new set that's going to get thrown in there. But KISS, keep it simple, stupid.
D-Man says, what's the magic setup for 700 to the wheels on a 17 GT with Corsa long tubes and Corsa Sport with the Gen 3 kit with good drivability?
Gen 3.
Are we talking manual or auto?
Manual or auto.
I guess at the end of the day, 93 Boustain, Gen 3 kit, 85 millimeter pulley or an 82 upper.
Yeah, and that would be, and Joe's throwing that out there because that's going to get you 700 whether auto or manual. And get you a solid 700 even in probably some less than ideal conditions. We've had stuff, dude in Blue's car made 700 without trying.
Yep, and you were on...
It's a manual.
Okay.
Manual.
Were you on an 88 millimeter pulley for his?
88.
Man.
And it was only like 17 or 18 degrees of timing too. It was
that,
not
and
a
we're
lot.
talking Gen 2 engine with this, so
yeah.
even already has kind of like a little bit of a leg up over Gen 1 engine.
Yeah. I mean, it's the thing, like, that setup could make 750 as well. But Joe wants to make sure you don't make less than 700 since you asked for 700.
Yeah, that, and now that I know that the car's manual, you could be every bit of an 88 millimeter pulley on 93 and Boustain and make that. If you look at a video we did of Dave's car a while back, it's a black Celine, I think it's a Celine black label or a Celine yellow label. We did a dyno video of that car probably 6-8 months ago now. And he was 93 in Boustain with a Gen 3 swap long tubes and similar setup to what you're talking about, and he made every bit of over 700 wheel. And
you want to go with like the JLT or the PMAS intake. The Roush airbox is just a little too restrictive for that.
John says, hey guys, huge shout out to Michelle Wilbur, who's working on my tune and getting it right for me.
Nice.
And he wants to know any updates on the Ghost Cam tune.
Like discussed earlier, 11 to 14 is going to be first for Ghost Cam and flex fuel tuning. Then we'll move into 15 to 17. I don't know which one you have there, but just keep that in mind. Keep an eye out over the next couple weeks.
Richard says, Joe is tuning a 14 Gen 3 92 millimeter setup with twin 67 throttle body for return, ID 1050s. Do the heat reduction benefits of long tubes on a PD car outweigh the risk of throwing a rod in my Gen 1 Coyote?
The long tubes in and of themselves aren't going to cause you to throw a rod either way.
He was going to say currently running OE exhaust manifolds without cats.
Yeah, and I mean with how hard you're pushing it, it wouldn't be silly of you to just start saving for a short block because you're it seems like you're on that slippery slope of where you want to party, but you're scared you're going to hurt the stock engine. And I can tell you from experience through conduits that building it before it blows is significantly cheaper than waiting till after it blows. And with an 1112 engine, I'm not going to say you're playing with fire, but it's significantly more likely to have problems than like a 1314 engine or a Gen 2 engine. So do what you will with that information, but when you're pushing it hard, I don't want you to push it hard, then come crying to me in 6 months when a rod exits the block. Yeah, if it's in the budget, start preparing for it now and build it before it blows.
We got like a lot of customers that do that here at the shop.
Yeah, and I mean,
like
you guys ran Rebecca's car really hard before you put the illuminator in it, and you didn't have problems, but that car wasn't, I don't want to say it wasn't driven on the street a lot, but it had isolated time, and it was only beat on at the track. It wasn't like a slamming it off rev limiters everywhere you go type thing.
Yeah, I think it had 8,000 or 9,000 miles on it when it came apart. Mm-hmm. Now it has like 11,000 miles on it.
Yeah.
When it came apart, when it took apart to build the engine.
Yeah.
03 Cobra says Joe's the man.
Thank you, sir.
He is.
He asked the question about what RPM are you tuning Gen 3 for on the 15 with, and you gave him everything he wanted. So
I was just confused. So
it's okay, Justin.
So he said you the man. And then we also had HP Revolution said, love this show, best show ever, all caps, and gave us hearts.
Thanks, guys. It'd be nice if the rest of you could give us hearts.
He gave us a big heart on YouTube.
Oh, okay.
But with that said, we have like 2 minutes left. And we got one question that just came in. Corey says an 11 GT, Cobra Jet manifold, monoblade throttle body, and a Procharger D1 SC kit. Would there be any drivability gains from going to your twin 67 throttle body over the monoblade?
Absolutely.
Okay.
You know, the question is, it's a Procharger, it's a D1, it's a Cobra Jet.
They have terrible math placement.
There's a lot of
things you have working against you there.
Yeah.
That and you're running the throttle body in a blow-through configuration, so having a monoblade on there, unless you're turning that setup all the way up, really doesn't benefit you at all. You could run a twin 60 and make similar power to what that monoblade's making in a blow-through application. If you were talking about a PD blower that is draw-through through the throttle body, upgrading the throttle body really increases power. The only thing you're really gaining by having that Cobra Jet manifold on there is you're shifting the peak RPM up about 800 RPM from where it was before.
And the other thing I'll say about positive or centrifugal blower cars is you're pressurizing the throttle body. You have a large mass of air always pushing up against that throttle blade. And I don't know, it's just a different relationship, it's a different feel. You know, having done David's car on the dyno reminded me of that. And it's a positive displacement blower where all the air and the compression is taking place behind the supercharger is much better for drivability.
Yeah.
Will the Ghost Cam tune be available for 11 to 14 TBS cars or just NA cars when you release it?
I think that's something that we're not really going to mess with the blower stuff, just because of the amount of moving targets you already have. It's going to be like a novelty thing for the NA stuff. But I have some other interesting notes on things I want to do from a tuning standpoint, but until they come to fruition, I don't want to really talk about them.
Okay.
And then last question is, I have a built 2-valve with a M112 on it, making 500 plus on E85. What horsepower gains will I get if I slap a Gen 3 on it instead?
All of it. That Gen 3 flows significantly more air than the M112 blower. Depending on what fuel you're running, that's going to be your first limitation of what you come up against.
Another customer came on and said more horsepower than the 2-valve block can handle.
I'm not wrong.
I think a built 2-valve block will do all right.
Yeah, that and
as long as you got rods and pistons.
There's not like one block for 2 valves. It's like one of those things where everyone's like, oh, it's 2-valve short block, and it's like, all right, well, is it an Explorer, Expedition? Is it a a later F-150 iron block, like the quote-unquote NVH style iron block, or is it just a standard Romeo 4.6 block? And from an internals, the spinning component standpoint, they're not all that much different. Like you have the Windsor 8-bolt crank 4.6 PI stuff that they have the different amount of bolts on the crankshaft for the flywheel and stuff to bolt to, but they're not, from a rods and piston standpoint, not that much stronger. But your block, which everyone refers to as block, can be, I think there's 3 or 4 different blocks for 4.6 2 valves.
He says, no, it's built right. It will be fine.
Oh, nice. Then yeah, just get enough octane to support it, enough fuel to support it, turn it all the way up.
I'd say another 200 wheel pretty easily.
Yeah.
Max says he loves your haircut.
Justin's haircut?
I think he's talking about yours.
I did it myself.
And with that said, I think we are going to wrap it up.
Sweet.
Like, share, subscribe. If you like the show, please.
Even if you don't like the
Give
show,
us some
still
love.
like, share, and subscribe.
Okay, if you don't like it, give us some love anyway.
Throw some tomatoes.
Don't do that.
Okay, okay.
Throw
Yeah.
chocolate milk instead.
Where are our hearts?
That would be a waste of chocolate milk.
Yeah, if you want
Only if
to
it
get on
spills.
Joe's good side, especially from a tuning perspective, send chocolate milk. All the chocolate milk that the refrigerator can handle, Joe would love you to death. And let me tell you, it will put you on Joe's good side.
But it has to be good chocolate milk. Like it can't be like no True Moo type stuff, or like
what is good chocolate
the
milk?
Yoo-Hoo Promised Land and Borden, and then there's like one in one other brand I tried when we were in Jeff City that I got kicked out of a bar with. You remember that?
Promised Land and Borden. Now, what makes them different than like Yoo-Hoo?
Yoo-Hoo's.
It's like a milk product
So like
or
if
something.
you've ever watched Parks and Recreation, Yoo-Hoo is chocolate milk that's lying about being milk. It's like water. Yeah, it's chocolate water.
It's kind of
like the fact that it doesn't really go bad should tell you everything you need to know about it.
like
don't drink it, so I have no clue.
processed cheese slices. Like I read an
Like
article.
American cheese versus cheddar.
Yeah.
We won't go too far into the woods here, guys.
Thanks for watching, everybody. Like, subscribe, and share. Get
And
us some
send
more
chocolate milk.
viewers. And send some chocolate milk. We'll